If you're thinking about moving and you want to learn about what everyday life is going to be like in your new town, this is the place for you. On Open House, we sit down with local, top producing real estate agents to help you find the best places to live in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So if you don't want buyer's remorse and you want to find your dream town, we are here for you. So go ahead and book a free call with us and we'll help guide you to the area that is right for you. Now, let's jump in and learn about your new home.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Open House. I'm Mike, and today we're going to be talking with Mike LeVan, a local resident and expert in Lynchburg, Virginia. We're going to be covering everything from homes to entertainment. So, Mike, thanks for coming on the show today. To kick things off, how long have you been a realtor?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been a realtor here in this market since 1997.
So you've got a decent amount of experience there.
I've sold roughly 800 homes. I've been around.
Okay, all right. It's been around the block a bit. How long have you lived in Lynchburg?
We moved here in 1990.
Okay, all right. So you're checking all the experience boxes definitely when it comes to someone who knows the area and knows the market. Now, Leesburg is a decent sized city. I would imagine, obviously over the course of that time, you've probably seen a lot of growth in the area.
Quite a bit, as a matter of fact. Lynchburg has roughly 80,000 people in the city of Lynchburg. But Lynchburg is a unique community in that Lynchburg is not in any county. We are actually surrounded and bordered by 3 different counties. There's Amherst County to the north, Bedford County to the west, and Campbell County to the south and east. And then coming very close to Lynchburg is Appomattox County. So the greater area would be about 250,000 people.
Gotcha. What would you say the kind of median home price is in the area?
The median home price in our area depends on where you're looking at. Okay, so if you are looking at Bedford County, Forest is the closest community in Bedford County to Lynchburg. The median sales price there is $462,000.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, given the nature of the markets at the moment, that's going to fluctuate a decent amount.
Correct, but in the other areas that are certainly more affordable, Lynchburg, Campbell County, Amherst County, the median price is about $240,000.
Gotcha. And that's are we talking like a single family for that?
Those are single family. You'd be looking at basically 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. 2,200 square feet.
Yeah, that's stuff that fits kind of like perfect in that starter home category.
Correct.
Now, what type of homes are we looking at as far like even stylistically? Like I'd imagine, given the amount of growth in the area, you're probably seeing a lot of new developments, as long as a lot of stuff that's probably been there a decent chunk of time.
Right, and it depends on the time period when the houses were built. Of course, back in the 60s and 70s and even in the 80s, the ranch style, brick ranch style houses were certainly the most common. Today people are, they're bigger. Okay, people want more space, so they are building bigger homes today. Most houses today are Cape Cod or 2-story is the most prevalent style that we'll see.
When it comes to the kind of economics of the area, I would imagine you have a decent amount of people working, obviously local, but do you get people commuting as well? Because I know you're not incredibly far from Richmond or Roanoke. You're kind of in that middle area.
Right, and people in this area are really, really spoiled. Okay, if we have to drive more than 10 minutes to work, it was one of those things that I found very strange when I first moved here in 1990. If people wanted to drive more than 10 minutes, they thought, oh my gosh, I'm driving across country just to get to work. So no, we don't have a lot of commuters here. Lynchburg is roughly 50 miles to the north to Charlottesville, 50 miles to the west to Roanoke, 50 miles to the south to Danville, and these are the next cities that would be comparable in size to Lynchburg. So no, if you're living in Lynchburg, chances are very good you are working within 10 miles of Lynchburg.
Yeah, so it's a bit more self-sufficient in that regard. And I would imagine there's a decent amount of contract businesses and stuff like that that are in the area.
Well, it's almost impossible to hire a contractor today. If you're talking about contractors work, just because the building is so prevalent these days. But the major employers in Lynchburg, of course, would be Liberty University. That would be the number one employer in this area. They are the biggest college. We have several small colleges, but Liberty would be the biggest college. They boast 130,000 total students. Of course, the vast majority of that is distance learning. I believe they are one of, if not the largest distance learning universities in the country. On campus, they've grown by leaps and bounds from when I first moved here. Right now on campus, I think they have about 17,000 students in town. We have a couple nuclear industries here in this area. We have BWX, which has government contracts for making nuclear fuel and whatnot for the United States Navy. We actually have another nuclear facility called Framatome. They're based out of France. They work on nuclear reactors, and they design, build, and service nuclear reactors all across the country here. Central Health is another major employer here. As the population gets older, everybody needs more health care. So Central Health would be, I think they're coming in like number 3 for the employers here in this area.
Gotcha. Now, another thing that I younger me obviously wouldn't really understand, but now that I'm older and at least a little bit wiser, I know that a lot of people make these type of decisions upon where they're moving to based on the school system, and that really becomes a kind of a driving factor for determining which locale you want to go to, and making sure that your kids have a proper education. What does that look like in the area?
Well, it depends on what your needs are. Okay, and historically, what we were told when we first moved here, and it still applies today. If you have special needs, or if you are a very advanced, or you believe you have a very advanced student in your family, a lot of the people are gravitating towards EC Glass High School. It's the largest of the 2 cities high school districts, but they are more suited towards both ends of the spectrum right there. And the schools, I mean, they're average. Okay, they're not. They certainly don't excel. I wouldn't say that we're in the top of the state by any means, but my particular emphasis on your child's education has always been, that you're a partner, and you have to be a partner with the school system. And if you will spend the time with your children and make your children understand that and you firmly believe that what they do every day is important, your child will return that to you in how they do in school. I was very lucky, raising my child. She excelled, did very well in school. Of course, I live in Campbell County, okay, and I've lived in Campbell County since I moved here 32 years ago. We went to Campbell County schools, Russburg High School in particular, but we were very blessed that she graduated number 4 in her class and was offered scholarships to schools that she didn't even apply to.
I'm sure as a parent, that's a very comforting feeling.
She did Dad a very big favor, I can tell you.
Yeah. And then you get to take a certain amount of credit for that. You're like, yep, I raised that. Yep, that's
again, she took it and ran with it. We didn't have to beat it into her. From about 3rd or 4th grade on, she understood that we really loved what she did, and we made sure we supported her in all the sports. There's plenty of athletics out there, both through the schools and through all the parks and recreation departments. There's softball, there's soccer, there's volleyball, there's basketball. If you want your kid to be busy, we've got it for you.
And in turn, if you want to be busy taking them to step practices, we got you covered.
I'm gonna tell you what, I admired all the other parents that I got to meet and everything, but I greatly admired all the other parents that had 2, 3, and 4 kids doing all these different sports, because my daughter Samantha kept me running, because she was in a sport year round.
It's one of those, how is there enough hours in the day? Enough hours.
Well, you get used to only seeing one parent at an event, and you ask him, "Hey, where's Bob?" Well, Bob's over there with John, doing soccer today.
The delineation of work there that has to happen. Has to. All right. So when it comes to the entertainment side of the area, your restaurants, bars, a little more broadly, your wineries, breweries, things of that nature, how does that shape up?
When I first moved here in Lynchburg, there wasn't a whole lot of Okay. But over the years, the downtown area of Lynchburg, and when I say the downtown area, Lynchburg has the James River that borders between us and Amherst County. So down the James River, of course, where Lynchburg was originally founded, there were a lot of old buildings and stuff, and they were vacant. And over the years, over the decades, actually, that I've been here, people talked about, rejuvenating downtown. Well, that has finally taken foot. And we have had a plethora of new restaurants going in down in that area, and they're all sort of bar themed, but it's not bar fare. Okay, they have. I mean, you have barbecue restaurants that'll specialize in a certain type of alcohol. We have a taco tequila bar that has dozens of different types of tequila available, and of course they're serving finger tacos, basically street food. There's other restaurants that specialize, of course, in steaks and hamburgers and whatnot, and lots of entertainment, plenty of music out there available for you, whatever kind of music you want to listen to. But it's a very vibrant and happening scene down by the river now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's, and I feel like that's kind of happening all over, where you see these areas that were just kind of underutilized and dilapidated, where people come in and they see the potential in something like that, and then it's like one new thing begets another new thing because it sparks that same idea in someone else, and suddenly you have this really cool area to go and hang out in.
Yeah. Well, again, I got to see it from 30 years ago to today. And 30 years ago, a place would open downtown. Okay, and it just wouldn't. There wasn't a lot of other things to help draw people to it other than that. And, some of them failed. Okay. But as more and more opened up, more and more entrepreneurs took the risk, put the money into it, it started to grab hold. And today we see very few business failings downtown. It's just growing by leaps and bounds. We're taking these big, huge warehouses downtown and factories that they had downtown. They're converting them into lofts. It's a really good thing. Actually, a lot of people are now talking about the parking situation downtown. If somebody lives in a place, chances are they're going to need transportation, and we do have a bus service in town. But let's face it, everybody likes to have their car. Everybody likes to be able to get in their car and go somewhere. And one thing that we are lacking, and again, a couple of them have tried, but we do need a grocery store downtown for these people to be able to walk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you're adding in all those kind of loft apartments and stuff like that, you need to increase the accessibility of the other goods and needs in the area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like you can't go eat at the bar every night. I mean, I guess
Right.
you could, but most people don't want to do that.
It would get expensive quick.
Exactly. I would say I kind of scoffed at a bit because I have a bit of a preconceived notion, but I tried some Virginia wine and I actually really liked it. And this was very surprising to me because in my head, I'm like, well, if it doesn't say Napa or Sedona or France, why would I even bother? But there's actually I know in that general area, there's some pretty beautiful wineries as well.
There's quite a few of them, actually. Trump has one up there in the Charlottesville area, but the soil in Virginia is apparently very similar to the soil in California, where they have the Napa Valley in the areas that you were talking about. So we have quite a few regional wineries here.
Yeah, and another thing I think people in the area kind of underappreciate is how scenic Virginia really is when you get out there and you take a look at it, and that's why I was so surprised going to a Virginia winery and seeing like, oh wow, we got mountains, we got everything. Like I've lived in the area most of my life and never knew.
Well, yeah, it's not flat; it is hilly, and I tell you, most of these places, most of these wineries are very beautiful to see. It's a fun thing to do in the spring and the fall, to go touring wineries if you want to. If you want to grab yourself some little snacks, and you go there and you can bounce around and hit 3 or 4 different wineries in a day easily.
Oh yeah, and then if you wanted to take the other side of that coin, as opposed to going and drinking and eating all day, there's also a lot of cool physical outdoorsy activities. I'm sure with trails, having the river there, all that type of stuff.
There's plenty of hiking trails here. I can tell you, the Blue Ridge Parkway runs very close. Lynchburg is the largest city, by the way, in Virginia that does not have an interstate, so we don't have that going for us. But there are plenty of hiking trails. You know, the city of Lynchburg has Blackwater Creek. We have Peachview Park, really nice places to go out, get out and walk around. But you know, getting outside of Lynchburg, you can go to the Peaks of Otter, for example, and there's several hiking trails there, depending on your ability. Okay, you can do a nice little flat thing and go around the lake, or you can hike all the way up to Sharp Top Mountain. I forget what the elevation is there, but it is. I think it might be the only peak in Virginia where when you get to the top of it, you have a 360-degree, there's a great big rock up there, and people get photographed up there on the big rock, 360-degree view all around, and you can see, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 miles.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I know that's another thing that people really want to know about in an area. You know, it's because some of that stuff is a little harder to find, and you kind of got to search for it. But then once you do, it's like, oh, wow, there's such a dirge of things to do of that nature.
Crabtree Falls is another area that people really, really like. It's the highest waterfall east of the Mississippi, and that's all. That's a very nice attraction. Again, there's a lot of steps, and it is uphill, buddy. I'm going to tell you. When you're talking about a high water, and it's a series of falls. I think there's 4 or 5 falls total on the Crabtree Falls, but it is quite a hike, and it's very scenic, very beautiful up there.
If you want that picture for your Instagram, you're gonna have to work for it. You know, that's what it comes down to.
You do.
If someone was thinking about moving to the area, what would you say is the biggest piece of advice you could give them?
You know, when I sold my business, we discussed this earlier. When I sold my business in 1990, you know, we could have moved anywhere in the country we wanted to. We checked out a couple places. When we came to Lynchburg, we were really impressed with how friendly everybody is. You know, the diversity. Unlike some other areas, you better get used to people waving at you. Okay, you know, you'll be walking down the street and people, I mean, total strangers, people wave at you. Driving down the road, people are going to wave at you. We have plenty to do here. We are 4 hours from the ocean. We're only an hour from multiple ski resorts in the area. So that was another big draw for us when I was younger. Of course, we used to do the skiing. Used to go to Virginia Beach a lot. I now go to Nags Head is my favorite beach, or Topsail Island down in North Carolina. Both of those.
Back when I had 2 working knees, you know, that was
right. Yeah, but I think you'll be impressed if you put Lynchburg on your list. I think it really should be at the top of your list. You know, and do yourself a favor. You know, call a realtor. Okay, see if you can get a realtor to drive you around and show you all these wonderful things that we have here. I think you'll fall in love with Lynchburg just the way I did 32 years ago.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. I think, and kind of in that same vein, is I often tell people, go for a vacation. You know, if you're thinking about an area, if you're unsure about an area, then go spend a little bit of time in it, see if it fits what you're looking for, check out the sights, the scenery, the things to do, all that stuff. You know, start off with turning that area into a little vacation and see if it kind of spawns more than that. You know, it spawns that desire to go, oh, you know what? I think this is the place for me.
Yeah, and Lynchburg is that place.
All right, well, Mike, thanks for taking the time to share your knowledge of Lynchburg with us. I think we all learned something today. If you're thinking of moving to the area, Open House can match you with a local expert like Mike here from one of our partner agents. So make sure to grab his contact information below the video, and he'll be happy to help you start your home buying process in the Lynchburg area. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Enjoy the day.